Hello students. So we're going to continue with factoring. So let's read the problem. The problem says factor the expression. So I know what you're thinking. Miss, that's exactly what we've been doing, factoring. Yes, but there's going to be a little bit of a difference on this question. So let's see if you can see the difference. We're going to follow the same steps. I'm still going to write down my standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c. And yes, that's going to help me identify who's A, who is B, and who is C. So A will be what? I'm glad you noticed that. It's not going to be a 1 anymore. Now A has a different number. There is a 2. So that's one of the biggest difference that we're going to see between these questions and the ones that we did earlier. Okay, so let's continue. How about B? Well, same thing. B is 11 and C is a 15. We're going to do exactly the same steps that we did for the other question. So let me give you a couple of seconds for you guys to draw the X, and I'm going to do the 2. So let's continue. The process is still going to be the same thing. We need to make sure that we do the same steps that we did earlier for the other question. So I hope you remember that on the top of the X goes A times C, still the same thing, which in this case gives me a 30. On the opposite side is still going to be the B value, which is 11. On the lower side, remember, we always write the value for A, which in this case is a 2. Okay, and the process, of course, is the same. We're going to use the T to find the product. So let's write down the word product. And yes, I want the product for the 30th, right? And I also want to find the sum of 11. So let's start with the factors. So I'm going to start with the same way. I'm going to start with 1 times 30. And yes, I do get a positive 30. At this point, I still need to think that negative 1 times a negative 30 also gives me a positive 30. And I know what you're thinking, Miss, I don't need it. Yeah, there's some other ways that you guys can eliminate some answer choices, but we're not going to go through those right now. I just want to make sure that you guys get this concept, and eventually we'll see if you can give me a summary of why sometimes you can skip some of the steps, but not yet. What about 2? Yep, 2 times 15 gives you a 30. So I'm hoping you remember that negative 2 times a negative 15, yes, is going to give you a positive 30, right? And you can continue like that. I can go on to what? 3, right? Yes. 3 times 10 gives me 30. Yeah. And also negative 3 times negative 10 gives me a positive 30. And I know what you're thinking. Man, why don't you just stop? Well, I would like for you guys to give me all the factors, because sometimes you might not find the 11 right away, right? So what about 4? 4 times what gives me a 30? Nope, not really, right? What about the next one? Yeah, let's go with 5 times 6 gives me a 30, right? And also negative 5 times a negative 6 will give me a positive 30, right? So now let's go to the sum. So I'm going to do the same process that I did earlier. 1 plus 30 gives me a 31. That's far away, right? Far away from 11. So let's go on. What about negative 1 plus a negative 30? Well, I get a negative 31. Yes, negative 31. What about the next one? 2 plus 15 gives me a 17. So that's not what I need. Let's move on. Negative 2 plus a negative 15 gives me a negative 17. Not quite yet, right? What about the next one? 3 plus 10, what do I get? 13, right? What about negative 3 plus a negative 10? I think you're getting the idea, right? It is a negative 13. So I'm not there yet. What about the next one? 5 plus 6 gives me a what? 11. I hope you say bingo, right? Yes, that's what I need. I need a positive 11. So now I see the 30 and I see the 11. So those are my two factors that I need. So let's write them down over here. So I'm going to put a 5. Let's write the 5 on one side. I will write the 6 on the other side. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. There's the same steps, Miss. Yes, they are. There's a little bit of a difference though. Now I want you to think about 5 over 2 as a fraction and 6 over 2 as another fraction. And I want you to think if you can simplify any of them. Because remember, if we don't simplify, we might not get what I want to find at the end. So 5 and 2 cannot be simplified. If you recall 6 and 2, both of them can be divided by 2. And when I do that, what do I get? I get a 3 and a 1. So I'm not going to use 6 and 2. I am going to use 3 and 1. So remember that those are the ones. My a's, my coefficient is the one that carries the x. So let me highlight this. I want to make sure that we remember that. Let me highlight. I'm going to highlight this one. I'm not going to highlight the 6 over 2 because that's not exactly the one that I'm going to use, right? So let's write down the binomials. So my first binomial is going to be 2x plus 5. Second binomial is going to be 1x plus 3. And yes, we can rewrite it as 2x plus 5. And yep, just x plus 3. So that is my answer. Yes, you're right. These are my factors. So if you notice, I follow the same steps that I did for the questions where A was a 1. The only difference is that now that my A is not longer a 1, more than likely I am going to need to simplify. Or at least I need to make sure that I check on that. Okay? So on the left side, we're going to continue the same thing that we did before. I want you to check the problem. Okay? So how do I check my problem? Well, I'm going to rewrite my examples, my binomials, which are 2x plus 5. And the second binomial is x plus 3. I know what you're thinking. Miss, do I really need to do that? I would prefer for you to do it because in this way you will check whether you got the right factors or not. Because the whole idea is that at the end, I'm supposed to get 2x squared plus 11x plus 15. So let's draw a box. So I'm going to give you a couple of seconds for you guys to do the box for me. And I will do that myself. So let's finish it up. So now I'm going to place my binomials on the box. Okay. My first term is 2x. So that goes in the first section. Then 5 goes on the second section, right? Okay, so in the left, we are going to write down my second binomial. First term is x. Second term is 3, right? So now I'm going to multiply. 2x times x gives me 2x squared. 5 times x gives me 5x. And 2x times 3 gives me 6x. And 5 times 3 is 15. Yes. So now we're going to write down everything that is inside the boxes. So I'm going to write down 2x squared plus 5x plus 6x plus 15, right? So now I want you to think about the next question. Is there anything that you can combine? Combine like terms? Yes. So let's see. I'm hoping that you say who? 5x and 6x. Nothing else can be combined. So I'm going to bring down my 2x squared. I'm going to add up 5 plus 6. That gives me what? 11x. And I'm going to bring down my 15. So what do you see here? Yes, that is actually the problem that was given to me. Look at the very top. I do see 2x squared plus 11x plus 15. So why is it so important for you guys to do the box? Because in that way, you will double check that your factors that you found, they're actually the ones that will give you the original problem.